FitConsent supports consent management across all website types. In this audit, we focus specifically on its WordPress integration, and in particular, its automatic compatibility with the WP Consent API. Because on WordPress, a banner alone isn't enough. Every plugin that collects user data, including Google Analytics through SiteKit, needs to receive and respect the user's actual decision. That requires a standardized communication layer built directly into WordPress. What follows is a compliance audit of FitConsent's implementation of that layer. In 2020, the WordPress community introduced the WP Consent API, a standardized protocol developed to solve a critical gap. There was no universal way for a CMP to communicate consent status to other plugins. Each plugin was interpreting consent independently or ignoring it entirely. The WP Consent API establishes a shared protocol. A consent management platform is responsible for setting consent levels. Any plugin that processes user data reads those levels and adjusts its behavior accordingly in real time. Consent is organized into 5 standard categories: functional, statistics anonymous, statistics, preferences, and marketing. FitConsent maps its user-facing consent choices directly to these standard WordPress categories. Google SiteKit implements consent mode for WordPress through a 2-layer architecture. It registers a tag consent initialization for Google's own services and simultaneously hooks into the WP Consent API to receive the user's consent status from the installed CMP. When you enable consent mode within SiteKit settings, SiteKit listens for consent changes fired through the WP Consent API and updates Google's consent signals accordingly. Your CMP must correctly implement the WP Consent API, or Google's data collection will not accurately reflect user consent. It is the compliance backbone of every WordPress CMP implementation. FitConsent is a consent management platform that supports all types of websites, including Direct Embed, Google Tag Manager, Shopify, and WordPress. For WordPress specifically, FitConsent includes native, automatic support for the WP Consent API. No additional plugins, no manual hooks, no extra configuration required. Let's prove this with a live audit. We begin the audit on Hive Chief, the official FitConsent blog and tutorial site built on WordPress and running FitConsent in production. This is a real deployment, not a test environment. In the WordPress admin dashboard, navigate to Plugins, then click Add New Plugin. In the search field, type FitConsent CMP and wait for the results to load. The FitConsent CMP card appears. Click Install Now, then activate once the installation completes. Now we connect this installation to our FitConsent account. Open the FitConsent dashboard, go to your website configuration, and copy the website ID. Back in WordPress, navigate to Settings, then FitConsent. Paste the website ID into the designated field and click Save Changes. The WP Consent API integration is now live. Next, we verify Google SiteKit is correctly configured to consume those consent signals. In the WordPress admin, navigate to SiteKit, then Settings. Locate the Consent Mode section and confirm the toggle is enabled. This instructs SiteKit to synchronize Google's consent state with the WP Consent API, ensuring analytics and ads only collect data from users who have explicitly consented. Now for the live proof. We open hivechief.com in the browser and open the developer console. Before anyone even interacts with the consent banner, we check the WP Consent API directly. We call the WP has consent function for statistics, and it returns false. Google Analytics is blocked, so no statistical data is collected until the user gives consent. We also run window.fitconsent test consent, which is FitConsent's built-in diagnostic command. This queries all consent categories at once and outputs a complete status report. Statistics, false. Marketing, false. Functional, false. Every category defaults to denied. This is the required behavior under GDPR's opt-in framework. Data collection must not begin until consent is actively given by the user. We now interact with a FitConsent consent banner on Hive Chief and click Accept All. Back in the console, we run the same audit. WP has consent now returns true. Both statistics and marketing are accepted. FitConsent fired a consent update through the WP Consent API the instant the user made their decision. Google Sitekit received it and updated Google's consent state accordingly, all automatically, with no developer intervention. For a deeper technical audit, including data layer inspection, consent mode, V2 signal verification, and Google Tag Assistant validation, we cover that in full in our companion video. Google Consent Mode, V2 Setup and Validation, FitConsent Direct Embed. The link is in the description. FitConsent demonstrates correct, out-of-the-box implementation of the WordPress WP Consent API. Consent defaults to denied. User decisions are captured and propagated in real time to all dependent plugins, including Google Sitekit. For WordPress site owners, compliant consent management that works correctly on activation with no manual configuration. If you're a developer or website designer building on WordPress, this audit confirms that FitConsent checks every box. Consent defaults to denied, user decisions take effect instantly, and Google Sitekit stays in sync. Drop it into your WordPress site and consent is covered.